What is up, chefs, foodies, and students? Welcome to Everybody Knows. I'm Anders. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Today we are talking about the ingredient rosemary. It's one of my favorites, and this ingredient comes originally from the Mediterranean and is currently well known in cuisines from Northern Europe, the Mediterranean, and North America. But if you're investigating origins and cultures, be sure to research the time period as well, since many foods are brought to cultures from elsewhere or developed over time. When looking at this ingredient, we can see a couple different things depending on the type of ingredient. This is fresh rosemary. When rosemary is fresh, we expect to see that the leaves are nice and plump and full and flexible. They have a good consistent green color. We don't see any periodic browning or drying out, meaning that the plant might be dying. If we are using dried rosemary, you'll essentially be seeing what look like little pine needles. And that's totally fine depending on what you're using it for. And again, just looking for sort of a uniform muted green color without any weird browning or sporadic browning. This herb is incredibly resinous in terms of resin, not sound. So it has a lot of sap in it. When you touch fresh rosemary, your hands instantly smell like rosemary, and they will for a while. So be aware if you don't want to smell like rosemary for a long time. The smell of rosemary is strong. It has notes of evergreen and maybe coniferous or non-deciduous trees like pine. I associate it with sort of a butteriness because I associate it with things like focaccia bread, where you have this richness complemented by the rosemary, or with roasted meats and the fattiness from that. And so when I smell rosemary, I have an association of like butteriness, but I'm not quite sure where that comes from or if it's real. I sort of also have the same association with Castelvetrano olives that have sort of a butteriness to them in the same way that this does. And I'm not sure where that comes from or if I'm alone on this. Let me know if you would also smell fresh rosemary and get sort of thoughts of buttery for whatever reason. Let's have a quick look at our universal aroma wheel. All right, if we look at the wheel, we see that in vegetative, we have an aromatic / herbal section. And when we look for rosemary, it's not there. Everybody calm down. It's fine, okay? Clearly, it's a mistake. The wheel doesn't have everything, but you'd think something as common as rosemary would be in there. I also think that something as common as rosemary should be in there, and I made the damn thing. So, all of this to say, it should be in there, and it will be in the next version. The question is, where would it go? The real conversation, if I may distract you from the fact that it's not here, is sort of how to organize the aromatic and herbal category. The reason for that is Ariel Johnson, who wrote Flavorama, has this theory that herbs are kind of categorized into resinous and non-resinous, that like the herbs that are more perennial and have sort of that sappiness nature to them have more in common than the ones that are more annual and don't really build up those plant structures to involve as much sap. I think she's onto something. So that would change how this is laid out, depending. And so we have sort of minty and basil, that's sort of that non-resinous area. And then we work our way into a citrusy category, but then we're also getting into like thyme and sage, and this is where we get into the more resinous, resiny herbs. And so I feel like rosemary would be somewhere in this section, maybe between the citrusy section and the lime section. So let me know what you think about that. I feel like oregano should maybe then jump down here as well if this starts to be the resiny section, which I think makes sense. I'm not sure. I'm open to persuasion, so throw something in the comments, let me know. Again, rosemary is very strong. A little bit goes a long way. It's also one of those smells, kind of like lavender, where if you add a bit much, it can start to smell or taste not soapy, but like not like a food anymore, like some kind of potpourri or like aroma-based thing rather than a food-based thing. So just to note that you can overdo it with a little bit too much. This is also a relatively tough leaf, depending, and so especially if it's dry, don't expect anyone to eat them unless they've been stewing for a long, long time. If it's fresh, it's not as bad. It's just gonna be really strong. So I would recommend cutting it up really small when you're working with rosemary, or letting it cook for a long time so some of that flavor can go into the dish so that you're not biting into like a whole pop of fresh rosemary, which might be overwhelming, as we just mentioned. Let's take a quick look at the flavor Bible. All right, the flavor Bible suggests the following as potential pairings with rosemary: baked goods, beans, bouquet garni, breads, cabbage, cheese, citrus, eggplant, figs, fruit, garlic, honey, lemon, marinades, Mediterranean cuisine, mushrooms, olive oil, parsley, parsnips, peas, pizza, potatoes, sage, salads, sauces, soups, spinach, squash, stews, stuffing, sweet potatoes, thyme, tomatoes, vegetables, vinegar, and zucchini. Rosemary goes with a lot of things. That about wraps it up. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about rosemary as you cook or eat, as well as the words that we used to describe it. Have you used this ingredient successfully, or in a way that you were like, yeah, that was so good? I want to know about it. Do you like this aroma? Why or why not? And do you agree or disagree with what I've shared with you today? Go ahead and throw those answers in the comments. I would love to read them. I hope this video made sense and got you thinking about the aroma of rosemary. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to help me get an ingredient for one of these videos, please send me an email or private message. If you would like to join the food aroma nerdery, feel free to subscribe and you'll see all my latest vids. And if you would like a large poster or digital copy of the aroma wheel that I've built, go ahead and take a look in the description for links. Thanks so much. Bye.